Has anyone ever told you that to be healthy, you need to eat a certain type of food? Or that it's impossible to be healthy in Ramadan because that's when we make all our yummy cultural dishes? Or that you need to eat a meal like plain chicken breast with brown rice and broccoli for dinner every day to be healthy rather than the foods you like? Were you ever made to feel that you have to choose between being healthy and your favorite cultural dish? Well, why not choose both? Hey everybody, and welcome to another Diets and Doodles video. Ramadan is upon us, and many Muslims around the world are currently preparing for an eventful month of fasting and obedience. We know from my first video on Ramadan that healthy eating during Ramadan can ensure we get the best out of our month by helping us feel full during the day and night and giving us enough energy to complete our daily activities and our nightly worship. But what does healthy eating during Ramadan actually mean? Do we need to throw away all the cultural food we tend to enjoy during Ramadan to be healthy? Do we need to stick to a certain diet or rigidly follow a certain set of recipes to get the most out of our food? A big part of the month of Ramadan involves enjoying and sharing our food with family and friends, particularly due to the immense rewards associated with feeding those who are fasting. The food we make and share during Ramadan is often an expression of our culture, and because Muslims come from all over the world, typical meals served in Ramadan can feature a wide range of flavors and ingredients. A significant amount of these meals can be included in a healthy diet, because being healthy does not necessarily mean you have to have bland, plain foods or must go on a diet. In my first video on Ramadan, I talked about ensuring we have a good source of protein, carbohydrates, preferably whole grain, and vegetables during suhoor and iftar to promote fullness, give slow releasing energy throughout the day and night, and ensure you are getting all your nutrients. This video will give examples of how you can get all that from popular cultural foods consumed during Ramadan. A good guide on how to plate up your food for iftar comes from the plate model. You've probably seen it before, I've talked about it before, but it's a good way to ensure the essential nutrients you need are on your plate. The plate model suggests we fill half of our plate with non-starchy vegetables to provide fiber for fullness, water for hydration, and important micronutrients. A quarter with carbohydrate-rich foods to provide energy. Higher fiber and whole grain sources will help that energy last longer. And a quarter with protein-rich foods to help you feel full as well as maintain muscle mass. You can also include a teaspoon of healthy fats or a tablespoon of sauce. Vegetables include lettuce, cucumber, tomato, carrots, broccoli, spinach, and many more. Protein-rich foods include our lean meats and fish, as well as legumes, lentils, tofu, tempeh, and dairy products. Carbohydrate-rich foods include rice, pasta, bread, potato, sweet potato, corn, as well as legumes and lentils. Now, some of you may be thinking, but Diets and Doodles, what you just described is a simple meat, mash and veg style dish, isn't it? And you're right, the plate model can seem quite one-dimensional when we look at it as it is. But really the model is just a guide on what should be included in your meal and the approximate ratio of each food type. Your food does not have to be separated exactly how the plate model is demonstrated. For that reason, I, along with some other health professionals from different backgrounds, as I can only represent the Lebanese population, will be showing how you can plate up some traditional foods commonly eaten during Ramadan, as well as some modifications to common recipes to ensure you are getting all you need out of your cultural foods, and as a guide on how to plate up the many other cultural dishes that you consume during this holy month. So let's start off with a common Lebanese meal eaten during Ramadan that is generally simple to plate up, as the components are already split into the plate model categories. Lebanese barbecue. To plate up Lebanese barbecue, place the barbecue meat on 1/4 of the plate to cover the protein portion of the plate. Then place your bread, preferably wholemeal or whole grain, on 1/4 of the plate to cover the carbohydrate portion of the plate. Add vegetables to the other half of the plate. I'm adding barbecued onion, mushrooms and tomato, as well as some fattoush. Adding 1 tablespoon of hummus with tahini can provide some healthy fats and a little more protein, prebiotics and fiber. Two other dishes frequently eaten together during Ramadan are fatteh or Tise'yeh and Kibbeh. Tise'yeh consists of layers of Lebanese bread, chickpeas and yogurt, commonly topped with nuts, so it's a source of both protein from the yogurt and chickpeas and carbohydrates from the bread and chickpeas. Kibbeh is made with raw lean meat and burghul, making it a source of protein from the meat and whole grain carbohydrates from the burghul. Since these foods don't only have one component from the plate model, it may seem harder to plate them up. Don't worry though, it's actually really simple. Since both of these foods are sources of both protein and carbs, they can both be plated up in the protein and carb half of the plate. So I'm adding Tise'yeh to a quarter of the plate, Kibbeh Nayyeh to a quarter of the plate, and because we can't miss out on veggies, I'm adding some fatoush to the remainder of the plate. You can add any vegetables you like, or just cut up some cucumber, capsicum and tomato and have it on the side. Since there is already a source of carbohydrate in the meal, you don't need to add any other source of carbohydrate like bread when having this meal. Last but definitely not the least of our Lebanese dishes is the somewhat notorious Wara Enab, one of the most loved dishes by the Lebanese population that takes days to make. Can Wara Enab possibly be healthy? Wara Enab consists of rolled vine leaves stuffed with mostly rice and meat, boiled for a long period of time with large cuts of lamb, usually shoulder or neck pieces. Try to make sure the meat used is as trimmed as possible to reduce the amount of saturated fat in the dish, especially if you are having Wara Enab often. To plate it up, I am adding the rolled vine leaves to a quarter of the plate, as they are generally rich in carbohydrates from the rice, the lamb in 1/4 of the plate for the protein portion, and so we don't miss out on the vegetables, I'm covering the rest of the plate in tabbouleh. So that's all for the Lebanese dishes. Let's move on to the nearby Palestine to see how to plate up a common Palestinian food. Here we can see Diala, a Palestinian accredited practicing dietitian based in Sydney, plating up a common food, Bamya with rice. This food consists of okra and meat made in a stew, typically served with rice. When plating up the Bamya, the rice will take up a quarter of the plate, the carbohydrate side, the meat will take up a quarter of the plate, which is the protein part of the plate, and the okra will take up the vegetable portion, which is the remainder of the plate. Normally the meat and okra would be mixed in the stew, so when plating it up you don't necessarily need to take your time to separate the components like this, as this is just a demonstration. Just try to add extra vegetables to the stew, and when plating up, make sure the stew covers 3/4 of the plate, which covers both the protein and vegetable sections. This can also be used when plating up other foods like lubia blahme or bazilla and rice. Now let's move on to some other parts of the world.
Hi, my name is Nurul and I'm a junior doctor in Sydney. My background is Indonesian, and two dishes popular in our culture during Ramadan are Sop Iga and Chaat. Sop Iga, or beef rib soup, is commonly served with rice and a fried egg. It provides a good source of protein from the beef, a source of carbohydrate from potato added into the soup and rice, and a good source of vegetables from the carrots, tomatoes and spring onions added into the soup. A good tip would be to add extra vegetables to increase the fiber and micronutrients in the dish and to help you feel full. Garnish with spring onion and fried shallots. Soups can be a really good option in Ramadan as they are high in water content, helping you feel full and rehydrated. Just make sure not to add too much salt so that you don't feel thirsty the next day. Chaat is an Indonesian vegetable stir-fry. It includes many veggies such as snow peas, broccoli, zucchini, carrots, beans and cauliflower. Including a range of colourful vegetables can help you get many different nutrients and antioxidants in your meals. I made a seafood version by adding marinara, which is the protein portion of your dish. Serve this next to rice to add a form of carbohydrates, and this meal can be easily suited by covering 3/4 of your plate with stir-fry, your vegetables and protein, and a quarter with rice.
Hello there, my name's Annika and I'm so excited to be featured on Diets and Doodles. Fatima and I went to uni together. I still remember how she used to do these doodles in class and how amazing she was at them. I absolutely love that she has decided to take this to the next level, and I'm so excited to be sharing some content with you for Ramadan. So I want to tell you a little bit about myself, then get straight into the dishes that I'll be sharing. So as you know, I'm a dietitian. I have a virtual practice that's focused on women's health and disordered eating. I do some teaching and some media work on the side. My background is Bengali or Bangladeshi, so the recipes that I will be sharing to you are some foods that I grew up eating, but I have modified the recipes a little bit to kind of make them a bit more healthier and more nourishing. Starting off with the first recipe called Haleem, and you can make it with any kind of meat you like. I've made mine with beef, but you could use chicken or lamb if you wanted to. I have already cooked the meat just as you would cook any kind of curry type of meat. Then I cook the lentils and then I add the meat in there just so it makes it a bit more tender. And this is great if you're cooking with something like beef where it can be a little bit tough. With the lentils, I like to use fresh lentils. It does mean that you have to soak them for longer, but I think the flavor always turns out to be nicer. And also add in some masala. So I use the shan masala generally, so the Haleem mix. I feel like this works really well. And you can also add, things like garlic, fresh ginger, and lots of chili as well if you're a chili person. Now, I've also added something that's a little bit unusual, but I've also used some oats. Now, we don't really use oats much in our traditional cooking, but I thought it would be nice because there are lots of great benefits. You would get some fiber, and it's also great for your gut health, and it's a source of whole grains as well. With the oats, I would just recommend that you don't cook them for too long. Make sure to just add it in towards the end, so in the last 15 to 20 minutes, and just kind of make sure to stir thoroughly as well. Otherwise, it can really stick to the bottom, and you'll find that it also helps thickens the mixture. So you might need to add more water. For the garnish, I like to use a few different things. So I would generally use something like cucumber, carrot, tomatoes, coriander, which probably is my favorite, as well as chili, ginger, and lemon. I unfortunately didn't have all of these ingredients on the day I plated this up, but those are the things that I would typically use, and I feel like that really is a great way to kind of also add some extra veggies on your plate while you are eating this meal. I find it to be a great comfort food for winter, so I hope you like this, and it's something that you can try this Ramadan. Now, the second recipe is kind of a busy woman or lazy girl recipe, however you want to think of it. For this one, I used canned lentils, and it's a very quick recipe. I used the 4-bean mix and black beans, as well as some corn from the can. So I'm going to go through how I prepared this mixed lentil chaat with some vegetables. What I've done is cut up some onions, some garlic, and brown that a little bit, not sort of really brown, but just kind of a very sort of light color until they're soft. And then I would add in some tomatoes. So I've added in 2 tomatoes. Then I would just let that soften a little bit. Once it's cooked, I would add in the drained lentil. So the 4-bean mix, I would add that in. Give it a sort of a good mix. Add some of the chaat masala, somewhere between half to 1 teaspoon. But it really depends on how much you like to add. I would also go in and add some chilies. Then I would add 2 carrots, and I really tried to kind of dice them up. Add this sort of towards the end, so they remain a little bit crunchy, but still kind of cooked. Put the cover on so it can cook for about 5 to 10 minutes. And lastly, I have added some black beans with charred corn mix. You don't have to add this, but I just thought it would be nice to kind of have that smoky flavor. So I've added this right at the end so that flavor kind of is there. You could also use some coriander as a garnish, but I didn't have any on the day I prepared this. The traditional recipe that we have is generally made with chickpeas, but I just thought it would be good to use different kind of lentils because variety is great for gut health, and it also gives us different types of nutrients. So it's really great to just mix it up, and I think this adds a lot of great flavor in there as well. So I would recommend trying this out for your iftar, so when you're breaking your fast, or you could also have it during your suhoor. So this is a great meal to have before fasting because it's going to give you lots of fiber, lots of protein, and some healthy carbs that will be slow releasing. So they will help you sort of stay nourished throughout the day. So I think it's great if you're wanting something vegetarian, great to try for meatless Mondays as well. So that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed this recipe. If you like to kind of learn more about me, make sure to check me out at Appetite by Annika. Bye for now.
I hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the plating up and recipe modifications of traditional foods served in Ramadan, and it has given you the confidence to eat more of your favorite foods while also knowing you are getting the nutrients and energy you need. The exact portion of each food component will vary from person to person, and it can be helpful to see an accredited practicing dietitian to help you meet your goals and needs during Ramadan. Remember, if you are pregnant or breastfeeding or have a condition such as diabetes, please consult your doctor and dietitian on the safest way to fast in Ramadan and what is appropriate for you. Thank you so much to all the other health professionals who helped make this video a reality, and if you would like to see more of their great content, follow their Instagram pages, which I have left in the description below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe for more diet and drawing content. Leave your comments and suggestions for more videos below. I wish you all a fulfilling Ramadan and happy Eid, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!